Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us going. Good afternoon, community. Welcome to our monthly community coalition meeting. My name is Tracy Parsons. I am the facilitator of our community coalition, a place where law enforcement, community members, our parks, our school districts, University of Illinois, Parkland, Mental Health Board, United Way, and all of our community partners come together each month to talk about how we, our faith community, ordinary community citizens are all part of an integral part of our community coalition. So welcome to our monthly meeting. Let me welcome our Facebook Live audience. As I was sharing with you in my talking points just a few months ago, I'm hoping that this is our last Zoom meeting and we can come back and be in person with each other and be able to build off the energy of what each one of you and your organizations are doing to make our community be the best place it can be. As we start off our meeting, we're fortunate to have our law enforcement leadership here each month to talk about activities and things that are going on with our police departments. And we're going to start off with Interim Chief Petrelli today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am looking forward to the next meeting not being remote, Tracy, so I'm hopeful. With the police department has been busy since the last time we met. As far as shooting update, we're currently at 16 shooting incidents for 2022. We've had no homicide incidents, and I did want to mention a few incidents that have occurred since the last time we met, one being a carjacking incident on February 1st, about 3:30 in the afternoon. The Champaign Police Department responded to the parking garage in 1000 block of South 2nd Street for the report of a carjacking, where a victim was confronted by multiple individuals that brandished a handgun and demanded the victim's car, keys, cell phone, wallet, garage door opener. The victim complied. The suspects fled in the vehicle. They were pursued by local agencies and were ultimately arrested in an open field off North Prospect Avenue, about half mile north of Fort Harris Road. And those arrestees consisted of two 14-year-olds, a 16-year-old, and a 19-year-old. I mentioned that because we have had several incidents with vehicles, stolen vehicles, all of which have been running unattended. So vehicles running unattended, just FYI on that. We've been trying to push out messaging to delivery drivers, students, other community members, that is definitely one thing we could do to prevent vehicles being stolen, is make sure that they're not running and properly secured. A few shooting incidents from January, since we last met, from January 12th through January 31st, was a lot of gunfire or sporadic shooting incidents in the community at various locations, often associated with vehicles, where some shots would be fired or exchanged between two parties or more. 8 incidents have occurred since we last met. I'll mention one on February 4th. A shooting was reported near the corner of Mattis and University Avenue, and that was between a vehicle traveling north on Mattis that turned east onto University, and occupants of that vehicle fired several rounds at occupants of another vehicle that was parked at a gas station. As that vehicle continued east onto University, the other vehicle basically caught up to him and a gun battle ensued. A nearby house was struck. Over 35 shell casings were located. And then we had one other, I would say, notable shooting February 8th. There was a report of shots fired made in the 800 block of Crescent Street. That's near Centennial High School. There were no victims, no damage reported, but officers did arrive and find a scene in a nearby alleyway. So many shooting incidents continue to occur. There was some good arrest made during an assist other agency on an Urbana homicide. Champaign police officers were able to help locate suspects and assist UPD in that incident. And then there was also an arrest made in an October 31st, 2021 homicide investigation. On January 5th of this year, the local state's attorney's office issued an arrest warrant for Tony Brock for the offense of murder, and he was arrested by the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Task Force along with CPD. The only other thing I'll mention is the work going on behind the scenes, definitely trying to stay busy to prevent some of the violence in the community. Our Street Crimes Task Force, which is the multi-agency task force, seized 12 firearms in January and made 8 gun-related arrests in the month of January. And that's all I have for today, Tracy. Actually, before you move on, let me put one more update out there, and that is reference our online reporting. For those that are not aware, we do have an online reporting capability now for the Champaign Police Department. You can locate that on our website, and it has been a really good success. And I think it allows individuals quick access to file a report when they otherwise wouldn't want to wait on a police officer. And the rule of thumb for that system is basically no emergencies, no child abductions. As long as something occurred inside the city limits, you should be able to report it on that system. So thank you.
Thank you, Interim Chief. I did not see any questions come in, so we'll move on to Chief Serapin.
Good afternoon, Community Coalition. So today I've got a few things I'd like to update on. We'll start with the shootings in our summary so far. And in 40 days into the year, Urbana currently has had 9 shooting events. And so I guess that's good. We were having a shooting every 3.2 days, and now we've slowed down to every 4.4 days, Tracy. So there's the math for you this month. One of the things that I will routinely say, and I think it is a factor too, is that I'm one of the few people in town that love when it gets really snowy and really cold, because that usually helps to curb some of our violence issues. Everybody, I guess, stays inside. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention that in one of those shootings, unfortunately, we did have the first murder of the year. I think that had occurred at the time of our last meeting of the coalition, perhaps. But I did want to thank our partners here. As Chief Petrelli has said, we have to work together on these things. An event might happen on South Vine Street in Urbana, but ultimately we might have to make the rest over in Champaign somewhere. And that night, I know that Champaign Police Department was absolutely integral in us getting some resolution to that. To the investigators, we thank them for their work. We've made 2 arrests in that particular incident, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is the 2 arrests were 2 juveniles, and so as Tracy says, our work is still before us. And relatedly, the Street Crimes Task Force, the officers who kind of work behind the scenes that aren't necessarily working the murders, but constantly trying to get in front of things. We do thank them and appreciate their work. I wanted to mention as well some of the things that we're hearing. I know that Champaign has had their blueprint for reduction of gun violence been issued out, and I know that Urbana is looking forward to further discussion in a public setting and needing public input with regards to some ARPA funding and how that will all work out. I know that public safety is one of the 5 areas that the city has identified as a place for working, and so using those funds. So they will indeed, I guess, look alive for more to come on the public input when it comes to Urbana and the ARPA fund. And finally, I used to like to read those kids' books where they could choose your own adventure, and you'd flip the pages and you'd get to here. And if you'd like to go in the cave, turn to chapter page 17. And if you want to go down the trail, go to page 18. And I'm at one of those points. If you have not heard, I will be choosing a different chapter and going down a different trail coming up here at the end of March. I tell you that because I think it's important for people on this call to know that if you didn't, and then to make at least quick introductions with regards to those who will be filling interim roles. And so the position and these are of course subject to city council approval, but the position of the interim chief of police for Urbana will be filled by Rich Searles, and the deputy chief will be filled by Matt Bain. Now, unlike me, I'm one of those Chicagoland kids that came down to U of I to go to school and just never left. But these two gentlemen are from this area and were born here. Rich Searles has served here 24 years, is a 1993 grad of Urbana High School. And Matt Bain has been here 22 years and is a 1995 graduate of Champaign Central. And he also wanted me to mention that he went to Franklin Middle School, so go Knights. So at any rate, a couple of guys from the community that will hold the fort down while Urbana moves forward.
Thanks, Chief Serapin. And hopefully we can get Interim Chief Searles here at the next meeting so that he can meet our coalition audience. I know he's been to meetings before and had a chance to speak to our group before, but we'll do some more official stuff next month since I've got you one more month.
You do. Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff Herman.
Good afternoon, Tracy. Good afternoon, everybody. So nothing but good news from the sheriff's office to report today. We have had 0 shooting incidents since the last time we met. So that's very good for the sheriff's office, at least. We continue to collaborate with the cities, though. You know, we realize that we can't have a year this year like we did last year. And so we're continuing to collaborate with community partners and other police departments to get ahead of this year and see what innovative things we can do. So that's the good news. Some things that I wanted to point out, and you know, we all know COVID threw a wrench in a lot of things we've been trying to do over the last couple of years, but we're in the process of setting up some coffee with the cop dates again. We had one event last year that was successful. That's just a great opportunity for the community to come out and chat with deputies that serve their areas and things, and chat with me and my chief deputy. We are also in the final stages of getting our Explorer program up and running. The city of Champaign has an Explorer program. Here last year, we tried to do an Explorer program, or 2 years ago, then COVID hit. Obviously, we couldn't do that. So in a nutshell, what the Explorer program is it's basically a mentoring program for youth who are interested in law enforcement area, but it's more just a broad general mentoring program for youth that are interested. It's through the Boy Scouts of America. And so we're in the process of finalizing that. So you will likely hear more information about that as we solidify some of those concepts. And then I'm also in the process of finalizing our annual report. If you recall, whenever I took over as sheriff, I started an annual report because I think it's important the community understand, you know, how we operate and the things that we're going through. And so we're in the process of finalizing those data. And so all of those things, you know, we've been really busy, even though we haven't been you know, a lot of shooting incidents. We have been busy here at the sheriff's office, kind of getting some of those things in line for a successful 2022. So that's all I've got to share today.
Well, you know, the exciting part, obviously, Sheriff, is that we want to get to the point that each one of you come and talk about no shooting incidents. And that's our goal. That's part of what we want to do as a community to rid our community of this ugliness. So thanks, Sheriff. Chief Carey.
Thank you, Tracy. Hello, everyone. Not a whole lot of updates from the U of I, but we are excited about a new role here at the U of I Police Department. It's the Executive Director of Emergency Management. We hired Brian Brower, and so he is going to play a vital role in helping keeping our campus community safe through emergency management. Here, the thefts, catalytic converter thefts, are still an issue, and we're having a hard time, locating the suspects. We have information that's been out there, the suspect vehicle and some pictures of the individuals. But a lot of times these are reported a few days after people discovered that these Cadillac converters have been taken. But we're still being vigilant and trying to do everything proactively we can to help capture those responsible. And two, here on campus, we've experienced some motor vehicle thefts, where delivery drivers are leaving their vehicles running. And, those opportunists have taken advantage of that. So we're trying to get the messaging out too, to ensure that people can keep their vehicles, locked and not running when they're running into different establishments. And then finally, we're trying to, continue our efforts to keep violence off campus. Working with our community partners has really helped in a way of keeping our campus community and our students safe. And we hope to continue that. And it seems like it's been a little low of late, but we never let our guard down. So we always are doing a lot of proactive enforcement so that we can mitigate some of this violence as it comes close to campus. And two, we have a lot of community events that are, forthcoming. We're just kind of mitigating through COVID so we can get out and start engaging with a lot of programs that our director of community engagement has planned out for the university campus police and the community. And then one last note on our staffing. Our staffing is full, and we're hoping to maintain that staffing level pending a few retirements, but that's a good note. I mean, that really helps our campus community too when our staffing levels are full, and we intend on keeping it that way. But that's about it. Tracy, thank you for the opportunity to share out, and look forward to the next meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Chief Carey. I've had a chance to work with Brian before, and I think he'll do a great job. And maybe we'll think about getting him on the agenda over the next couple of months to come and talk about public safety and how those things all connect with the coalition.
That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Chief Carey. Okay, Chief Kaufman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chief Copeman from the Parkland College Police Department. I have a very few updates. Thank you for attending today. We've had a few snow days. I know we've talked about it. So Parkland was actually closed for a few snow days. So some of the people enjoyed them, some of the people hated them, but we got them nonetheless. We've been doing a lot of class presentations, a lot of reaching out to students, faculty, and staff, just making them aware of who we are, what we do, and that they can come to us if they need anything here. And then a quick plug is we are not fully staffed. So I just opened hiring for entry level and experienced police officers. So if you're interested in a career in law enforcement here at Parkland, we have the application open till February 25th. And then we also use the National Testing Network exam. So both the application through Parkland and the test through the NTN is due by February 25th. And if you have any questions, reach out to College Relations Officer Penland or myself, and we can help you out with any questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So a couple of things, just as Chief Serapin mentioned about the blueprint that was passed through Champaign City Council in December. We will look forward to, over the next couple of months, having a more detailed conversation about the blueprint and how it connects our community work and not only in Champaign, but with the county and through the city of Urbana. And then just finally, just want to remind, as we talk about these cars being stolen and carjackings, and almost all of them are running cars. So please spread that word as we are in these cold days and times. And I know people think they want to go and start their car and then go back in until it gets warm, or they're running out to get some food, or the delivery drivers, but it just is a recipe for and inviting those that have that mischief on their minds to move in that direction. So I've been mentioning, and since we've had our 48 Hours of Peace event last summer, we've been working really intently over the last few months with the Interfaith Alliance and the Ministerial Alliance to coordinate and organize our faith community and bring a number of partnerships together. So we wanted to have Reverend James Fielder come and share a little bit about that work that's kind of happening behind the scenes. And Reverend Fielder, welcome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. after the 48 hours of peace last year, we were asked what more can we do from there. And as Tracy mentioned, we started meeting together again and started to try to lay out a map of going up to another 48 hours of peace. This all happened after these reports around violence in the community, and our mindset is, what can the faith community do to be a part of the solution? What you see before you in this slide is this effort between the Ministerial Alliance of Champaign-Urbana, along with Interfaith Alliance and other faith leaders throughout our community, on these plans that we have over the next few months, again, to be a part of the solution. Starting in March through May, we've entitled this initiative, the Building Bridges to Peace. So you're going to see that pervasively. And by building bridges, we mean building relationships, connecting with other faith leaders, connecting with the community, connecting with groups that Tracy brought together. So the Building Bridges to Peace Community Forum will start. The first one will be March 22nd at Morning Star Free Will Baptist Church. That initiative was led by Reverend Terrence Thomas. And we want to dialogue with you. We want to dialogue with the community as faith leaders to hear you and hear the things that we can do to be of assistance. June 17th through 19th, we're looking at 48 Hours of Peace 2022. We're looking how we can make that a much more impactful event. Last year was great. We had faith leaders from all throughout the community. It was a multi-faith prayer service. We prayed together, we sang songs, and we're looking to continue this relationship that we have with you all and throughout the community. I'll be honest with you, when we did that event, what was amazing, Monday, we prayed on Friday night as a collective. Monday morning, I was getting calls from everywhere, the news, every news outlet asking, did you hear anything about the weekend? And facts that over those 3 days, there were no shootings. So I think we as faith leaders fulfilled our job description. An additional initiative that we're looking at to pilot is this initiative called Park Players. In Rockford, Illinois, there was similar levels of violence in the community, and faith leaders in that community put this program together called Park Players. What the program is designed to do is train teenagers on nonviolent skills, coping skills, coping mechanisms, and we pay them to learn these skills. And then they turn around and teach the younger kids through play therapy how to mitigate issues. We're looking to pilot that in June. We're already talking with Jamil Jones of Champaign Park District, hosting the initial event in Champaign. We're also negotiating to host that series in Urbana. So we'll see that on the calendar real soon and shaped up. And lastly, we've partnered to host this initiative called Raw Tools. In a nutshell, what Raw Tools does is take a weapon, and a blacksmith will turn that weapon into a garden tool or a piece of art. And then we have prayers, we have testimonies of how violence has affected us in the community. It's an amazing thing to see. And so we actually have a call on the 16th, and Tracy and MC could share that to finalize that event. Again, this is multi-faith, Ministerial Alliance, and our ultimate goal is walking alongside our community to mitigate violence. Lastly, could we go to the next slide, please? I was contacted, it's not just me, was contacted by WCIA regarding their Victory Over Violence initiative. And the question was asked, could they partner with the faith community for an event? They came to us with the desire to televise prayer service in our community live. The date that we'll have that event is February 26th. It will be hosted by Salem Baptist Church, not missionary, Salem Baptist Church. Again, we're going to come together and pray for our community. Representatives will be from the Ministerial Alliance, the Fellowship Baptist District. We'll have music, we'll have a community choir, ultimately doing what our job description says to do, and that's pray for our community. At the end of that night, we'll have words of wisdom from one of our patriarchs, and to me, a patriarch in our community, Reverend Shelby, will give us some words of wisdom. He's been fighting this battle for a very long time. And so our goal as we continue to build these bridges is to be effective, to walk with you, to walk alongside you. Again, that event will be televised live, 7 p.m. at Salem Baptist Church. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Reverend Fielder, for that update and that introduction to the great work you all are doing. We talk all the time about the importance of the faith community and being part of the solutions as you just talked about. So thank you, and thank you all of our faith organizations for your willingness to work together and come together to be part of our team and the part of the work that we are doing. Okay, so a couple of years ago, before COVID, we were working with the Champaign County Chamber of Commerce and the school districts to look at an initiative called I Read, I Count. And Laura Weiss, President and CEO of the Champaign County Chamber of Commerce, is here to talk about I Read, I Count. Laura, hello, welcome. Laura, I think you're still muted, I'm sorry.
Let's try that again. So first I want to say thank you to you, Tracy, for giving us this opportunity to talk about this important program. And then I also want to just extend my thanks to all of the coalition partners for all the important work that's being done in the community. It's really, it's inspirational to hear. So if we can go ahead and advance the slide, please. So I'm here to talk today about I Read, I Count. And basically what this is this program puts volunteers in the classroom working directly with students to help close the achievement gap. Community members spend 1 hour a week going into the primary schools to help early learners with their basic reading and math skills. And all volunteers are trained using a specially designed curriculum. And it's a weekly 1 hour commitment by volunteers that can make a world of difference to the children who are having difficulties with their early learning competencies. Advance the slide, please. So we believe, and what the early data had shown us in 2019 prior to COVID, what it was showing us was that this program, I Read, I Count, can change a child's life trajectory by improving literacy skills, improving basic math skills, and building a solid foundation for our students' futures. And all of this happens at the K through 2nd grade levels. And the reason that we selected this age group is because that we know that we will have a standardized measure with the 3rd grade standardized testing. And we don't want to debate whether standardized testing is the right mechanism or not, but what it does do is it gives us a benchmark to start with, and we're able to measure the success of the program. Next slide, please. So for those who have heard me talk about I Read, I Count before, they've heard me say this so many times. This is not a magic bullet. It's not rocket science. The magic with this program really happens when we put a caring adult with a student who just needs a little extra help with their math and with their reading, and they just need that extra time and that attention. And what seems so simple to all of us in terms of learning is really a struggle for many of our students. But really these very simple activities, this very simple curriculum, are really brilliant exercises that will help make a difference with our kids. And so I just wanted to walk through a couple of the activities and what they look like. Next slide, please. So first we have I Read, I Count. And for those of you in the coalition who Might recognize Jeff Scott. He's with the Stevens Family YMCA, and the YMCA is one of our partners in this program. And this is Jeff working with one of the students in the program. And basically, one of the things that they do is letter identification and tracing. And so what we see here is an adult working with one of our students, simply going through identifying letters and then using their fingers basically to trace the letters. And the volunteers are trained to then help guide the student's hand to help them understand the correct way to form letters. And I wish we also have this picture, but we have a short video clip, and I didn't know how to get the video clip onto the PowerPoint presentation. But ultimately with the iRead program, the goal is to get the kids at the end reading a book. And so there is a clip of Jeff working with this young man in particular, where at the end he is reading a page out of a book to Jeff, and Jeff high fives him, and the look on the young man's face, I could watch that video like all day long. So next slide, please. We also do rainbow writing in the program. And again, this is about forming the letters and letter identification. And it's a really simple task, but the students just use different color markers to keep repeating the tracing of letters. And ultimately with the different color markers, it creates a rainbow effect. And it helps them, again, to be able to do the recall in terms of what the letters are and then how to actually write those letters. Next slide, please. Then one of the last components is, so each student starts with an envelope, and their name is in that envelope. And
Laura, you went back on mute. There you go.
Yeah, I got an error message. Sorry about that. So each student starts with an envelope with their name in it, and then the volunteer works with them to help them learn their name, basically how to read it and how to write it. And so they start with it in one sheet of paper, and then as the student progresses, the volunteer will then, when they feel that they've gotten to a point where the student is recognizing the letters, they will go in and maybe take that name and maybe cut it in half. And so then the next time the students will start to piece together their name and put it in the right order. And as they progress again, so if it's like a 5-letter name, then maybe we get to the point where all 5 letters are cut, and then it's like a puzzle, and the students are putting together their name and doing it in order and able to recognize the letters. And again, these are all skills that kindergartners, first graders, second graders should have, but ultimately we have students who don't get these skills, and then they continue to progress through the school system. Next slide, please. So the other part of the program is I Count, and mathematics is also a language, and early math literacy really helps children to develop critical thinking and reasoning skills. And this is really key to a student's academic success. Next slide, please. So like I Read, I Count, we have very specific curriculum or activities that are designed to not just teach numbers, but also to teach those critical thinking skills. And so what the students are doing through the I Count program is they're really, they're learning their numbers, but they're also learning to identify patterns. They're learning orders of numbers. So, it could be learning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it could be learning 2, 4, 6. So learning how the orders of the numbers go, and then also learning counting extensions. Next slide, please. And so our schools have struggled over the years, and you can look at the Illinois report cards to see where our students stand. They've struggled over the years, but the reality is this is not a schools issue. This is a community issue, and it really is the community's job to make sure that our children are prepared. So we really as a community need to be raising students who have strong literacy and math skills so it benefits the entire community. And as a community, we need to give our students, especially the ones that need the help the most, these skills, because that when we do that, we are telling we're giving these children opportunity. So this is not a program that is possible with just the chamber doing this. This is truly a community program. And as you see here, all of our community partners that are listed as part of this program. And we certainly at any point in time welcome any other organization that would like to be a partner in the program. We could use your help in spreading the word on getting volunteers to be part of the program, just helping to spread the word on the program itself. And as we get past COVID, we are really hoping and looking forward to adding DREAM and then the Don Moyers Boys and Girls Club as part of this partnership as well, where we will have curriculum that they will be able to help reinforce what the students are learning in school and reinforcing that in an after-school program. Next slide, please. So we have students who were struggling before COVID, and we now have what people are calling the effects of, are being called unfinished learning. And we had before the traditional summer slide, which is now turned into the 2-year slide. So we really need to be able to get back into the classroom. And we are really, we need help finding volunteers. We are going to, we had hoped we would be back this past fall. That didn't happen. So we're looking at the spring semester. We are going to start again in Unit 4. Urbana is part of this program, but given COVID and staffing issues, and we have not done the program in Urbana yet. And so we're gonna hold off so that we can start fresh, hopefully in the fall, and start new with the Urbana schools as well. But this will be a shortened time period. Normally it's a 10-week program. We're gonna do 6 weeks, and it is specifically going to be I-Count. We will be in 4 schools. We need about 50 more volunteers. And you get to pick your schools, you get to pick your time. And what's really important, and the reason that we're doing this small group, we checked with the teachers, and what they said, this is the first, we're specifically going to work with first graders. And if you think about it, the first graders were kindergartners last year, and their introduction to traditional school day was remote learning. And so now we've got them in first grade, and we've missed some key milestones with some students who really could have used the extra help. So we really hope that people will consider volunteering. Thank you to all of our partners out there. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So we need volunteers signed up by, is it the 18th? Is that what I saw?
We just extended it to the 18th. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So community, we got to step up here. And I need you to go back to your organizations and talk about release time and how we help get our 50 volunteers. We should be able to have that done by the end of the week. And anything
And for
less,
the fall,
really,
we're going to need probably 200 or so.
Yeah. So this is really, really important. Laura, it looks like they're wanting to see the email stuff. So maybe you can just put your email and the contact information in the chat so everyone can do this. But yes, community, it's important that we step up and support this work. Thanks, Laura, to the Chamber for the leadership on this initiative.
Well, thanks to all of our partners who make it happen.
Yes.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. Okay, so we're talking about COVID, and I'm talking about I want this to be the last meeting and Zoom, and the governor made his announcement today about masks. So we have our friend and partner, Julie Pride, here from CU Public Health. And last month, we talked about data, Julie, with the 205 people that were in ICU in the community, and shared that data that you had shared. And so thank you so much for making some time to be with us to kind of bring us up to speed on where we are today. So.
Okay, we're just coming out of a super rough period. From the end of December until now, we have had 47 deaths in this community from COVID. The cases were, at one time we had almost 7,000 cases that we were trying to deal with at one point. Now we're down to 483 cases, 43 in the hospital, and 270 deaths. Like I said on an earlier call, if you if I ever thought in a million years that I would be saying yay to 483 active cases of anything that we were having to deal with, I would think you were crazy. But given that we had almost 7,000 at one point, this is definitely, we're going in the correct direction. I think the biggest news, the most exciting news is that next Tuesday, there will be a meeting of the FDA and CDC and different organizations, and we are anticipating vaccine being available for the last group, which is 6 months of age up through 4 years old. So once that happens, I'll be able to exhale, because that means that everyone who wants to get vaccinated will have that opportunity. And of course, this 0 to 6 months, they have passive immunity from the mothers, assuming that they were vaccinated. So, that is the really good news. You'd mentioned the mask mandate, that there is lots of confusion with the schools right now. That people are just kind of running wild with that. But even at the end of the month, when the mask mandate is likely removed, it will probably not include schools, and definitely not include healthcare and long-term care. And I also wanted to let everyone know that Omicron variant BA.2 is circulating widely in our community now. That is similar to the original Omicron, except it is even more infectious. I guess it will eventually be so infectious that we just have to read the word on a page and may actually get it. I don't know. But so we are, like I said, we're going in the right direction. I look for us to be looking almost, back to normal by the spring and summer. And typically when we have a disease that is a respiratory virus that becomes endemic, what usually happens is that then we have like seasonal variations. So this may start to look more like, influenza, and where we get vaccinated in the fall to prevent the serious cases and deaths. But, I cannot stress enough that we still need to get people vaccinated and boosted, because that we are seeing deaths from people who are not. So, please keep talking to people, and please don't give up on people, because this is going to not be a pandemic at some point, but it's going to be endemic. It's going to be here. It's not going anywhere. And we need to make sure that people are protected. So thank you.
So Julie, you mentioned about the confusion. And so what's the plan around messaging, and what's your thinking about messaging? Because if we're telling people, all right, the 28th, get rid of the mask, but we still want them to get vaccinated, we still want them to, it all just seems kind of confusing, right?
Well, I think what I need to be clear that the mask mandates will go away. That doesn't mean that there aren't still going to be lots of people, including myself, wearing masks when we're out in public. In enclosed buildings. Certainly when I travel, if I'm on a plane or a train, I will have a mask on. So, but it won't be a mandated thing where if you go into a store, something like that. Although, again, I think that pandemics change the way we do things. I use the example of, HIV/AIDS. Before that, if anyone old enough to remember, there were no gloves being used. There were no face shields. There were no, all kinds of things being used, even in procedures where blood was likely present, like dental work, et cetera. So I think that, the mandate will go away. But again, there were a lot of people, mandates or no mandates, they just weren't doing it. Same thing with people not getting vaccinated, can't do anything about that, but they're just putting themselves at risk every time they get infected. And certainly they're finding out that previous infections are not protecting you against reinfection with Omicron. So, with the messaging wise, we'll keep, trying to get the best information out there. But the issue with the schools is because of that lawsuit, which was a very limited scope lawsuit, and it really only applied to the plaintiffs, the named plaintiffs. But apparently a lot of schools have just decided that that applied to them. So even though we have made an attempt to reach out to all of the schools in Champaign County to let them know that's not the case, some of them are going to do it. And what's likely going to happen from that is, outbreaks. So.
We had a question come in the chat about additional boosters.
Oh, yes, that is another thing. Probably in March, it's looking like there may be an Omicron specific booster. And how these vaccines will work moving forward. Let's say it becomes endemic and it becomes more of a seasonal illness, like, most respiratory illnesses are more common in fall and winter, obviously, because we're inside a lot and around each other. But if it goes to that, it's kind of like a flu vaccine. We always call it a flu vaccine or a flu shot, but really there's 4 different strains in there that you're being protected against. So I look for the vaccines to evolve in the same way. The architecture is there for it, so they just have to plug in the whatever is trying to evade the vaccine or whatever is circulating the most.
And then we just got one that also came in about home testing kits. Are those going to be effective with these things moving forward?
Yeah, they still work. Again, there's a lot of confusion out there because sometimes somebody will say in the media that the home test kits do not tell you if you have Omicron, for example. Well, what that means is it's not genotyping your sample. Of course not. That would be super fancy, and that is way beyond our ability in this world to do that. But it's not telling you what variant you have, but it is telling you if you have COVID or not. So that's what we're talking about. People don't know what variant they get.
Yeah. Julie, I want to thank you for your time today. I know how busy you are, and this stuff is changing hourly on you. So just thanks for
Absolutely.
keeping the coalition in mind and sharing.
I'll be glad when I can be back on here and, talk about what we used to talk about. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so we have friends here from University of Illinois Athletic Department. Madison and Tessie's here to talk about some fun things that are happening up on campus with our athletes.
Thank you, Tracy. So we wanted to come on and talk about the kickoff to our Title IX 50th anniversary celebration here on campus. Tessie and I are both part of the planning committee for that, and our specific subcommittee is charged with planning our National Girls and Women in Sports Day clinic and celebration. That is aligned with our women's basketball game against Rutgers on February 27th at 2 p.m. So we'll have some great activities prior to the game. The game will start at 2 p.m., but our clinic will start at 1 p.m. We are super excited also to announce that anyone 18 and under will be able to enter the clinic for free. And then basketball tickets for 18 and over or 19 and up are $5, and those will be accessible at the ticket office leading all the way up to the game. Let me just checking my notes. Again, you can see on this invitation here that we have some special edition Title IX 50th anniversary water bottles that we'll be giving away. All of our different women's sports will be represented with some fun activities. We'll have posters. How can we get in touch with you? I can absolutely Tessie and I can both put our emails in the chat, but we are happy to have everyone involved. And then also we'll have some fun activities, like we'll have little passports that they'll walk around with and get stamped, and very cute, super engaging. So yeah, we are excited to have everyone. Again, we're trying to continue to stay engaged through COVID. It's been hurting our hearts as much as it hurts everyone else's hearts to not be able to be as much engaged and in person, but we're excited to be in person for this one. So looking forward to having everyone. Tessie, did I forget anything?
I think you got it all. And I also put in the chat the link to our 50th anniversary general release that we put out on the 2nd. That includes some more information about events that'll take place later in the year.
So ladies, thank you so much. Go ahead, Madison. Looks like
I should also add, I got a private message about vaccines. So as long as
I think that was, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. No,
perfect.
go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
as long as you follow the testing protocol of showing a negative test 72 hours leading up to the event, then you can get in without a full vaccination card. So just keep that in mind for those little ones or anyone that is not vaccinated.
Okay.
Yep. And I will put my email in the chat as well. Thank you for having us, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you. So please keep us in mind. We love what you all are doing with the athletes and getting them involved. And so congrats. I know how hard you've been working to put all this stuff in place, and it looks great. So thanks for coming to share today.
Thank you. Of course, everyone be safe.
Okay, so we've shared with you over the past several months about the work of our Race Relations Subcommittee and the fact that we've gone through a strategic plan to organize and coordinate our work. And we're now at that point where we're ready to start engagement activities. And so we've got 4 different action areas, and we're going to hear from 2 of them today. So Katie Snyder is going to come from Museum of the Grand Prairie and the work we're doing around archiving African-American history in our community. So Katie.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. So yeah, I'm Katie Snyder from Museum of the Grand Prairie, which is part of the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. And we're really excited to be collaborating with the coalition to work on Revisiting Your Legacy, which is the African American Oral History Project. Next slide, please. So we are basing this on something that some of you may have seen 20 years ago, or if you have come on our website recently, anytime within the last 20 years, which was called This Legacy is Yours. And that was an effort way back in 2001 between the National Council of Negro Women, the Champaign County chapter, and the Museum of the Grand Prairie. And it was more like a survey kind of thing. And women who were members of that group chose whether or not they wanted to be part of it and return a survey. And that is still a virtual exhibit on our website to this day. And I put a link to that right there. Now, right now, when you go to it, it's just a PDF, but you can see all the different people. And there's roughly around 100 women that were part of that. Okay, next slide, please. And then after that came out with local African-American women, there was people who wanted to do local African-American men. So way back in probably 2002, Your Legacy 2 came along, which was basically the same sort of thing. And that was survey based. And you can also see the links on there. Next slide. So what we want to do is we want to look at as many of those original people as we can possibly locate, and realizing that the original people were from kind of a limited group, we want to expand that. So we're also collecting oral histories from people that weren't in the original group. And we'd love to have your assistance with this. We have, like I said, we have about 100 people on the list. We started back this past summer and we did oral histories with about 10 men and women. And we are super excited to be collaborating with the coalition and working with Miss Crystal Womble, who was actually one of the original participants. So that's kind of a really cool connection. And she's going to be collecting 10 more oral histories between now and June. Okay, next slide, please. So as I said, we would like your help. If you think of anyone else, you don't see the list, but if you can think of anyone we should be doing oral histories with, we would love to hear about that. We are a accredited museum, so these oral histories will be protected for generations to come. We're going to be using them in physical exhibits, but pretty quickly we're going to be using them in online exhibits, and they'll be accessible to the public. Next slide, please. So that's a little bit what I was talking about right here. And one thing we have planned is for the month of March, there's a lot of museums in town. They're going to be doing things related to Women's History Month. So we hope to take some little glimpses of some of the women, the 10 women that we had the oral histories already collected this past summer, and talk about some of the different ways in which those women were innovators in the local community. And next slide, please. And that's all. Here's my contact info. So if anybody has anybody they think we should add to the list, I mean, oftentimes people give me names. It's really helpful if you have a name, but you also have some contact info for that person. And we're just going to keep doing this as long as we can. We understand that, you know, like I said, the original list was like 100 people. So it's a long-term project, and we're really excited to be able to collaborate with the coalition on it to get some more of this work, very important work done.
Thank you, Katie. And we again are looking for additional suggestions and recommendations. This is just a start. I think we really want to talk about as a community how we invest in the archive and gathering the data and the information, African American history and the individuals and families. The history is rich, and the story is not told enough about the contributions made by African American people that have come to our community in significant numbers and ways. I have to talk a little bit about my dear friend Clarence Shelley, who has passed away in the past few weeks, and you know, just thinking about his contribution and his role that he's played in the development and shaping of our community and transitioning African American students at the U of I campus. And so these stories are endless,
right,
and critical as we talk about addressing race and the history of what contributions have been made. As Laura was talking about the information for our students and for our kids, you know, they need to know this. You know, our families need to know this. And so when we talk about changing and strengthening and growing, this information is really important. So Katie, thank you and the museum for this work, and we're excited to get Crystal on board to start doing the work. So thank you. And again, our Race Relations Committee is an all-volunteer group. And so at this point, we're gonna, I don't think Joycelyn's been able to make it. We're gonna bring Penny Soskins on to talk about the work of one of the subgroups through our Race Relations Subcommittee. So welcome, Penny. Thank you for being here today and sharing this important information.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. So our small group is working to increase awareness and understanding related to racism and ongoing racial injustice. So for the next 4 weeks, however, we're taking the community back into the middle of the last century, but we're taking it back through a collaboration with United Way to show the documentary. It's a 40-minute documentary, Open Wounds. This is produced by Phil Allen Jr., where he talks and shows about the murder of his grandfather in 1953 and the very severe impact this had on his father, himself, and his family. We see a young married couple with no voice, losing one person, there's no voice, they're unable to talk about it in the family. The trauma gets shut in inside them in the family, and it passes on into intergenerational transmission of trauma. Healing comes out in the end to be open, to be supported by openness, faith, and redemption. So we're making this available with the support and the collaboration of United Way of Champaign County. We're providing access for viewing, reflective questions provided by Dr. Joycelyn Landrum Brown, and discussions questions also. So we are encouraging as many of you as individuals and with your groups and groups you know to view this documentary in the next 4 weeks or so. We'll provide the access. There will be a sign up There is a sign up to register to view, to look, but the viewing will continue. It's not a one-off issue. So we hope that as individuals, you will sign up and encourage it, particularly the faith community and community groups. You'll sign up, look, and then include your own groups within to encourage them, and then come back and discuss it among yourselves. Discussion is very important. We see this not only for individuals, but groups throughout the community. If you have questions, you can contact me at pennysoskin@gmail.com, but the invitation letter will be going out shortly in the next day or so, supported by United Way and the coalition. So is there anything else, Tracy, I need to say at this time, except to say that the rest of the group will be continuing for the next few months to build capacity and work with the many collaborative support networks in town and the broader county who are working on these challenging issues.
Great job, Penny. Thank you. And as I shared with you, again, this is an all volunteer committee that we have through the coalition, and we meet monthly, the third Monday of each month, and we've got ways that you can be involved, events that are going to be coming up. We're going to have a full schedule of opportunities to join us and participate and have discussions. And again, race remains our most difficult subject and topic to talk about and address. But part of that is there's not the space to do that. So our committee is committed to creating as many avenues and opportunities for us to engage and learn and not repeat our history and our past. And we've got so much to give and offer as a community, and addressing our race challenges is an important part of that. So thank you, Penny. Thank you to all the volunteers that participate on the Race Relations Subcommittee. And we'll keep you updated and abreast of the events and activities. So Open Wounds is a powerful film. We had Mr. Allen himself in the community once before to talk about the trauma it's created in his family and the community that this took place. And so it's a powerful, powerful film. We encourage you to go on and check it out. Thanks again, Penny. All right, so we keep moving here, and my good friend John Ruffin is here from the Neighborhood Services Department for the City of Champaign, and he's going to introduce to us some of the work that we're going to be doing around community engagement for this year. So, John.
Hey, Tracy, thanks so much, man, for giving me a few minutes on the agenda this afternoon to share with community regarding some upcoming activities relative to our spring, summer, and fall engagement efforts. But before I get started, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that we are going to be launching a new Neighborhood Ambassadors program in the spring of this year. And the program's designed to be a first contact engagement model focused on education and engagement. And so we are going to be hiring four new ambassadors and a supervisor, so a total of 5 new community engagement professionals to assist us with our stepped up engagement and organizing efforts over the next several months. And so as part of our city's response to gun violence and public safety concerns, we'll be starting this new program. We'll be hiring, or we've started the recruitment process for a new neighborhood ambassador supervisor with a projected start date for that person in late April. And then in March of this year, we'll begin the recruitment for new ambassadors, hopefully to have those folks started in late April, with a goal of having the program and the ambassadors on the ground to support our engagement, our special additional support at special events, and then providing a welcoming environment in our commercial districts throughout the city of Champaign. And then some additional targeted engagement in neighborhoods throughout the city. We expect to have them on the ground by mid-May. So that's just a heads up in terms of if folks know of somebody who might be interested in being part of this new program and applying for the positions, please have them contact us via the city's website and the recruitment process. Apply online at champaignil.gov. And then moving into the next slide, wanted to talk at the 15,000 foot level around sort of our robust engagement and community engagement activities that we've got planned for the spring, summer, and fall of this year. We want to build off of the work that we did last year with our Loving You tour. And so we are building a community calendar that's inclusive of all the various events that are going on throughout the city. And then we are also working to internally, as I said, build a robust slate of events to really provide, as you said earlier, Tracy, safe spaces and places for folks to be activated this year and beyond. And so if you have programs and or events that you want to add to the calendar, or if you want support, especially in the city of Champaign, organizing events, please feel free to reach out to us. Contact Mary to have your dates put on the calendar, the community calendar. And as I said, we'll be building a calendar of city-sponsored events also that will augment the calendar, that will also be included on that community calendar. Thank you. And so Tracy, I'd be willing to take in questions that folks might have of me.
Yeah, I didn't see any in the chat, John, but
Okay.
I just wanted to say to the audience, again, this will be cross community. So we've had a number of meetings already with our park friends and community organizations, and we want to talk about fundraising events and activities that will be taking place and in the community and throughout. And so we know that we learned the importance of engagement and being out in the neighborhoods and into the communities last year as it relates to engagement, hearing from our constituents about needs, interests, and then bringing us all together better, stronger. We know that through social interaction and the ability to talk to one another, we've just learned the importance of that. And so we want to encourage everyone and every organization to send your information to us so that daily you can look at this calendar and find out what's going on in this neighborhood with this organization. We want this to be a community-wide space to share engagement activities. Thanks, John, so much for that introductory information. So I wanted to take a moment. As I shared with you, we have a volunteer race relations committee, and one of the individuals that has been significant and integral in our development in that work is Abdul Hakim Salam, who unfortunately passed away this past Monday. And I just wanted to, all of us on the Race Relations Committee and, his work with First Followers and throughout the community are just heartbroken. He was a gentleman, a kind man. And one of the things that he really talked to all of us about and his work in the community was around this notion of gratitude and understanding how to be grateful for what you have, for each day, our ability to come and address these really tough issues. He always had that smile on his face and encouragement. Every time I saw him, he offered me a word of encouragement and just said, brother, you're doing a good job and you're doing the best you can. And so we will miss Hakeem. And wanted to just share with the community about this loss and recognize him for his work and contributions to our Race Relations Committee through the coalition. Okay, so last on the agenda today is, was Jill able to make it, Jill Clemens? And so, MC, if you want to put up our next News, Brews, and Beats flyer. Yeah, Ash, if we can promote Jill, that would be great. There we go.
Tracy.
Hey, welcome.
Hey. All right. Thank you. Good
afternoon. You are on. Yeah, thank you for being here, Jill.
Awesome. Just want to share information regarding the upcoming News, Brews, and Beats. This is going to be our third installment. News, Brews, and Beats takes a look at what CU is doing to combat community gun violence. So it will be taking place Monday, February 21st at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:30, and we will be at Poor Brothers Tap Room, downtown Champaign. That's 40 East University. And if you can't attend in person, we will be live on Facebook on our WILL Facebook site, so you can tune in as well. We have two great hosts, Tracy Parsons, of course, and Reginald Hartwick. He is the Public Affairs Director here at WILL. And we have a powerhouse panel of educators from elementary school, middle school, and high school, including Dr. Micah Jackson. She's principal, Yankee Ridge. Jamie Roundtree, he's the principal of Booker T. Washington. Taryn Nance is the new Urbana High School principal, and Sonny Walker, a local, he's from Champaign, and he's Dean of Students at Edison Middle School. So they will be our panelists. We will also have performances by Speed Paint performer, spoken word artist, and DJ Icy Dre will be curating a playlist of music, of socially conscious songs for the evening. So it is a free event. Again, it's our third installment, and we encourage you to attend. Early arrival is suggested.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. These have been wonderful discussions and have been very well received by those that have had a chance to check them out and participate and be in the audience. And so we wanted to share with you this next one. As Jill said, early arrival is recommended. We've been filling up the room and just really, really excited about, I mean, for those of you that know our panelists and know the great work they're doing in our schools and how creative they are and interested in connecting families and kids with resources, this is going to be a powerhouse discussion, and I can't wait. So please, please, please pass the word. Next News, Brews, and Beats is going to take place February 21st. All right.
Yeah, 21st.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
All right. So how about that? All the great information today. Let me thank all of our panelists, from our police chiefs, Reverend James Fielder, our wonderful leader from Public Health, Julie Pride, from U of I Athletics, Madison Dunker and Tessa Taylor, our Race Relations Subcommittee members and volunteers, Katie Snyder, Joycelyn Landrum Brown, Penny Solskin, my good friend John Ruffin here at the City of Champaign, and John and Laura Weiss, of course. We need volunteers for I Read, I Count. And it's a great place to be, great time to be in our place. And I just love and peace to all of you. Thank you for joining the coalition. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your wonderful faces next month at the Holiday Inn. And yeah, so just peace and love to you, and thank you for all of your contributions to make our community be the best that it can be. Have a good rest of your day.